come and get it.
Hey guys, Polish Vapes UK back again. What we're going to be looking at today, guys, is the Coilmaster 521 tab. Got this free for review from Coilmaster. They also sent me one of their Coilmaster build mats as well. Very grateful to Coilmaster for sending this to me for review. So we are going to take a dive down close, have a look at it, and what we're actually going to do is I'm going to do a build on the RBA section for the new Shaman tank from Smoan. So we're actually going to put a build onto this, which, as you see, it's got that velocity style deck. So we'll take a build on that. But before we get into building on the deck, let's dive down close, take a look at the Coilmaster tab and what you get with it. So guys, this is the box that the Coilmaster 521 tab comes in. Coil up to be a master. And then on the back you've got some features and some specs. Ohm meter, voltage meter for mech, mod, regulated mod, coil reel building deck, coil burner, table mod, and it's also got reverse battery protection, which we'll have a look at in a sec. Resistance measuring range 0.01 to 9.99 ohms. Voltage measuring range 0.3 to 9.99 volts. Resistance rate as low as 0.2 ohms. Connection is a 510 threaded with spring loaded pin. Charging is port 4.5 volts, 750 mAh. Micro USB charging input, and then battery is an 18650 and you don't get one included. So inside the box you have got one of their little cards. They were doing a giveaway. I don't know if they're still doing the giveaway. A little manual on how to use the Coilmaster, and again specs and what the front buttons are and all of that details. And then you've got the Coilmaster tab itself here, which we'll take a look at. You've got one box here which comes with your micro USB lead and some little clips. So what you can actually do is let's move the box. So what you can actually do is you can plug these into here and you can clip it to, say, a piece of wire each end, and it'll tell you how that length of wire, what resistance it is, which is pretty cool. I've never actually used them because I don't really do mine like that. I usually cut a length and then I usually use something like Steam Engine to find out how many wraps and things I'm going to need. And then also what you can do is you can put the voltage checker on as well, and you can screw like your mech mod or anything on there, put your RDA on, and you can check like your voltage drop, which is pretty cool. See how much, if you're getting the full voltage out of your mech mod. So that is really cool. Let's just put box back together. So what we'll do is put that to one side, we don't need the box. And then we'll take a look at the actual voltage meter. It has got a little screen protection bit of film on there, which I've not bothered taking off. Fire button for when you want to fire your coils to make sure they're heating up correctly. Obviously there is, and that is, I believe, it is spring loaded. Nice, very nice spring loaded pin in there. Coilmaster 521. There is also your switch for your power. Obviously at the moment it's in the off position. You can put it into the meter position, which will tell you what your resistance is, and then you can go straight to the left, which will give you your burn option. It's saying there's 3.8 volts on the battery that's in here, and then when you fire it, obviously it'll heat up your coil. And then underneath, here's your battery. They have put in like a nice ribbon also on there. This is a pretty full charged battery. What I've found when putting batteries into the 521 tab, you usually get anywhere between 3.8 and 3.9 volts, even though obviously your battery should be 4.2 volts, around that sort of mark. I'm only getting between 3.8 and 3.9. But what somebody did say to me is you get more power if running it through the micro USB port, which we're now going to have a look at right now. So if I can remember where it is, there's the port at the front of the box, and there it actually shows you it's charging, or it would if there's any batteries in there. So let's see what the voltage is now. There we go. See, already better than putting a standard 18650 in. I don't know why that is, but for some reason the Coilmaster tab is getting more power to it running through the plug than you're getting from an 18650. Like I said, that's 4.1, almost completely what a fully charged battery should be. And when I put a fully charged battery in there, I'm getting anywhere from 3.8 volts to 3.9 volts. So if you want a full charge all the time, maybe better just to run it off the power supply. And then obviously if you need to go out and about and you want to use it when you're out, then you can just chuck in an 18650. You have got the marks in there for positive and minus. So then obviously if you're going out and about and you need it to be cordless, you can just chuck in an 18650, about 3.8. It does obviously charge. You can charge your 18650 straight from the device. You see there, usually when it's dead, all 4 bars will flash, and then one by one they will stay lit, and then when they're all lit, it is fully charged. So that's pretty cool. So we're not going to bother using the lead, but that is pretty much it, guys, for that. So I'm going to take a quick vape, and then we'll get down and we'll chuck on the RBA section, and we'll put some coils in. I've already got some pre-wrapped ones that come with it, so that's what I'm going to use, some Clapton coils. but we'll put it in and we'll do some heating up of the coils and show you how that works, and we'll check the resistance. So guys, here I have this new RBA section with the velocity style deck, which goes in the Shaman from Smoant. It is, I believe, from what I've seen, this is the first sub-ohm tank that actually comes with a velocity style RBA, which I think is amazing. So before I screw that on, let's loosen up the grub screws. I'm not sure how difficult. I know Nikki B, which she's done a review, she just reviewed the whole tank. She actually pretty much built this holding it. She said she did one on the Coilmaster, but she actually said she also just held it and built it, obviously because I wanted to show you guys the Coilmaster. And I thought I need to put a build, or I wanted to put a build on the Coilmaster and build something, but everything else is built and I hadn't got around to actually building on this RBA section yet. The grub screws seem to be gripping a little bit, feeling like maybe the Allen key's a little bit too big for the hole, but I usually get that quite a lot with new grub screws. So we can check the resistance, which obviously at the moment, I don't know how well I'm going to get this on camera, guys. I am going to try and do the best I can. Should be nothing at the moment, which it is. So I'm going to try and do this as easy as I can for you guys to see as well. So you're going to have to bear with me, and hopefully I keep it so you see what I'm doing. Right, sorry about that guys. I thought I was recording and for some reason it wasn't and I just put in the first coil. Also I'm using, which I did show but didn't record, I'm using these pre-built Clapton coils, which I believe are going to come out at about a 0.2. So I'll go over again what I did with the second coil when I'll just sort this one out. So from this position, which I'll do again in a minute, what I usually do from here is either a screwdriver or anything that you've got that fit in your coil. I usually just bend that, might even need to come out a little bit. Because that is not letting me I'm hoping I don't have to go ahead and rebuild this coil. Would be a bit of a shame, as I wanted to use their pre-built ones. This is why I very rarely do build videos. They are a bit of a pain, especially when you're trying to do it on a camera. I may have to bring out the other side as well. So there you go, I've adjusted that now. There's a good lesson for anybody getting into building. Always good not to tighten down your grub screws or whatever screws you're using before you've checked and adjusted your coil where you want it. Otherwise, obviously, if you do it too tight and you ruin the coil, then you'll have to rebuild a new coil. So what I'm actually going to do now, I'll try and get it on camera, use my little snippers, and I'm just going to snip the wire snip the legs off. I always do. I don't know why on RDAs I usually do all the legs together at the end, but for some reason on any velocity style decks I always seem to snip one when I put them in and then I do the other side when I've put the other side in. So again, remember where I'm going. So I'm going to go diagonal again. So one in the top, one in the bottom. Try and get them past obviously your other coil. Sometimes can be a pain depending on the length of the coil. Oh, sorry. The length of your coil you're using. So this time I'm going to leave it out a little bit further just for when I put that twist in it if I need to. I say I'm not going to tighten it right down, so if I need to I can then come back and I can re-loosen before I tighten them all the way down. Let's check that. So let's just stick the jig in there, give it a little turn and adjust to make sure it's where you want it, and then you can go in and tighten down the screws. What I usually do at this point as well is I check the ones I've already done, just give them a re-tighten. That's the one I've just put in. Spin it round. I'm going to have to obviously take this out for this one. Oh, wrong side, this side. Tighten that one fully down. One thing I hate about Allen keys is they're always so thin and fiddly to hold, and when you drop them they're a bit of a pain. So make sure that's nice and tight. It doesn't need to be super tight, don't be cranking down on it, especially if you're using thin wire. You don't want to be snapping your legs because then you've got to restart all again. So now I can spin back round, just give that coil a final readjustment. Just make sure it's where I want it to be. Which I think I'm pretty happy with that. I need to get them legs out the way, which may be a little bit difficult. So I'll go off camera and snip those. So that's both the legs snipped. And then all I'm going to do is just play around with these coils a sec and get them lined up to where I'd want them. Which they could sit down a little bit lower, but they're looking pretty good. Spin it round and do the same on the other side. See if they're sort of lining up. You also don't want them touching any of the posts, which I'm going to have to get in there and sort this one. So we'll have a look, zoom back out, we'll have a look at what the ohms are coming out at. 0.14, pretty low, especially for an RBA, so I may not keep this coil in just because of how low it is. I've now clicked it onto the fire setting to heat the coil. And it's only pushing 2.6 volts at the coil, so it is going to take a while to heat up. And what I may actually do is compress these coils. They were spaced coils, so I may compress them. So guys, we're ready to wick. Just before we start, since I've dry burn the coils and compress them together, it is now reading at a 0.29, where I believe it was a 1.3 when they were spaced. So definitely compressing them together gave me more of a happier ohms that I like to vape around. So that's really cool. All I'm going to be using is this Japanese cotton, which I peel both sides off of. I'm not sure yet if this piece that I've cut is going to be too thin, because I'm used to using a bigger diameter on my coils, so I wasn't quite sure how much how small to cut them, so we'll soon find out. Nope, they seem pretty good. Need a bit more of a twist. What you can usually do is, if you can just see the tip, you can grab it with your ceramic needle nose pliers, I believe a lot of people call them. So there is one side done. I won't bore you with the second. So there we go guys, both sides are in now. And then for this, I'm gonna sort of go and let them sit in the wow a little bit. So what I'm gonna try and do is try and measure to whereabouts I think, by just, that should be perfect. So especially for these type of RTAs, you just sort of need to judge where you want that cotton and how far down you want that cotton to sit. So I've got it so it's just sitting in the juice wells. I may need to trim the other side a little bit. So there you go guys, I've trimmed all four sides now, so they just sit at the bottom of the juice well. So I'll juice them up, because it's not as easy to do on camera, and I'll show you what they look like. So there you go guys, I've juiced up the cotton, put it into the juice wells, and then all I'm going to do is grab the RBA cap, screw that on down. What you might find is they may still be a little bit long because of pushing down the cotton, so all we'll have to do is go back in there and just trim them down a little bit. So all I did guys was trimmed off about 0.5 centimetre and there's no cotton now. For if you want to check, you can just lift it up and look for each corner. Make sure your cotton is sat in the juice well and tighten it down. There you go, guys. That is the build. If you want to hear about how it vapes, you need to check out the review of the tank. If it's up, it'll be in the description. If it's not, it'll be coming very soon. So again, resistance 0.29. We can even give it a little fire if you want, guys. It might take a while because it's only pushing out 2.8, and there it is. So let's jump back up top. So guys, I know quite a little bit of a long review. Also took a look at building on the RBA section from the Shaman sub-ohm tank. It's not called a sub-ohm tank, but it is a sub-ohm tank with that velocity style deck RBA. Really enjoying the Coilmaster. Like I said, I would use it. If I'm using it at home, I'd use it through the USB and plugging it into a power supply. But obviously, if you're out and about and you need to build when you're out and about, then you just chuck an 18650 in it, unless you're sat next to a plug. But absolutely loving using the Coilmaster to build on. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and remember, guys, stay safe and keep on vaping.